All right, folks, we're gonna go live here, live. Oh boy.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon and evening, everybody. Dwayne Ward, Pissed Off Parent Show. As always, it's something fun. I'm trying to basically stream to all of the different social media platforms using Rumble, and I had everything set up, and it doesn't work. Actually, I'll show you all kind of what I'm talking about. I have everything set to do everything, and for whatever reason, it did not want to work. I'm not sure what happened, but it's a live show, and you got to hear my wife going, "Hey, I was trying to listen, and let you know nothing's working," but here we are. Okay, let's just get into it and try to work through this. As the thumbnail said, talking about every father's worst nightmare, but I do want to go through the kind of the quick high level stuff here. Talk about what the Pissed Off Parent Show is. It's a bold, no hold barred podcast amplifying the voices of frustrated and alienated parents with a strong focus on fathers' rights. We're tackling the injustices many fathers face in family courts and the emotional toll of parental alienation. That show dives deep into the personal, legal, and systematic challenges parents encounter. It's also a show we're going to talk about my brand of humor and things that piss me off. So kind of the thing with my show. But I've been doing Pissed Off Parent for a number of decades. But this is kind of my thing at this point. So I also want to talk about just again kind of getting the legal crap out of the way. Oh, we got some subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. It should pop up here. It's showing up on. There we go. But the overview of the show is that nothing on the show website, the app that I have on both available on Apple and Android. Nothing is to be construed as legal advice. Actually, the things I'll be talking about tonight are my own ideas and my own personal opinions, but of course it's based on the facts as I get them and see them. Let's see here. Yeah, the advice that I'm giving out, or what things we'll be talking about, is exactly what you paid for it. So there's that. And as I stated, I'm not an attorney. More importantly, I'm not your attorney. The information on the website, app, blah, 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 is not to constitute legal advice. Instead, all the information, content, and materials available on this site are for general information purposes only. But hopefully you'll learn a thing or two as we get into this thing. Okay, let's jump into it and talk about Jeff Younger. I put up here just kind of a quick thumbnail and then a picture of James in both personas. I'm just gonna get it out of the way right up front that I don't. I subscribe to he needs to be a boy at least until he's 18 years old, and as an adult he can do that. There's a number of medical things there, talk about the chemical castration and all the other things that is irreversible. And actually I forgot to upload an item from someone that's actually going through that as we speak, but we'll kind of get into that. So want to go and what I'm going to do, and actually got a surprise. Actually later, my buddy Eric is going to actually have Jeff Younger on his show to talk about everything. And if you go to, and I'll show the information here, you can actually hear him do an interview last evening on the topic. But what I'm going to do for this show is to look at it from a different perspective. I'm going to, not put aside my personal beliefs on the entire situation, and just kind of walk through the facts of the case. Now, Jeff has spent well over $1 million defending or trying to defend the situation that he has with his son, and there are just tons and tons of documentation, paperwork, and all that. It's went over this decade plus case. But what I've done is I'm going to give everyone kind of a timeline and then ask some questions, but give everyone a timeline of events and maybe provide some information you didn't know, clear up some confusion and all that. So actually, if you have any comments or questions, be sure to put those into the chat and we will get to them. They may or may not pop up here. This is actually set up for a number of streams. I believe I'm streaming to Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, actually a couple Facebook accounts, and X. So, put those in there. I'll get those comments, and then we can kind of talk through that. But getting into the overview of the case, just want to get the facts out of the way here. So Jeff Younger and Dr. Ann Georgalis, and I'm going to butcher her name every single time. I've never learned to spell it or say her name correctly. Not gonna. But they had fraternal twins that were born in 2012. And they were the way they were conceived is with Jeff's sperm. And again, hopefully, I won't need to do a biology course here. But when two people like each other, but in this situation, it was Jeff's sperms, and they actually had in vitro fertilization through an egg donor. And then that's how twins born. Actually, Jeff has two boys, James and Jude. And to put this another way, what that means is actually Jeff is the only biological parent of those twins. And again, that's biology. Deal with it what you will. They did file for divorce in 2015, and it says that on the court transcripts and the information I was reading that it was actually annulled. But later, it looked like it seemed to like it converted to a actual divorce. And again, this is that whole no fault type stuff there. But that was in 2016, and they did get at that time an amount of shared parenting that was granted at that time. Now, at that time, the Dr. Gorgalis claims that James, then 3, told Dr. Gorgalis that he wanted to have a feminine name, and then she went ahead and indulged those requests and started naming him different things and a female item or female names and all that. And then of course as Jeff started going, what the heck's going on here? And again, at that time I believe James was 3 around that time. But at 2017, Dr. Gorgalis began basically saying, hey, look, we're going to go ahead and, oh, hey, Chris Gill, thank you for following. I'm not sure what media you're on, but thank you for following nonetheless. Appreciate it. Always love. Yeah, be sure to like, share, subscribe. Again, I'm weighing into this and getting more and more involved in tackling these kind of hard cases and stuff like that. So obviously, seeing the like, share, subscribe, and the numbers and all that stuff. One, and it's not the most important thing, but it does. Hey, people are actually watching, and it makes sense. And 2, hopefully, enough people in the community start learning things that are going on, especially in this area, and start actually fighting back. That's the big thing, and that's one of the reasons why actually, unfortunately, we're at where we're at today. But anyway, so Dr. Gorgalis began asserting that James identifies as a female and gave the name of Luna. Did a little research, and this is actually a book. You can get it on Amazon. Not that you want to get it, but whatever. Called Luna, and apparently, and it's funny. Eric and I talked to guy Adam Leva last week about a case that he's going through with his ex-spouse, and they're getting divorced. And it's actually very scary. He's probably freaking out right now. But in that situation, the exact same judge that has ruled on Jeff's case is going to be ruling on his son's case. Now, he has been I think it's for a year, I want to say, or longer, he has been removed. He hasn't seen his child, his son, in, I believe, over at least a year. But the kid's name that they're trying to give him is Luna. And apparently this is a very common thing. They use the word Luna. But this appears from my research what the book, or the book that kind of kicks it off, but it's about a transgender person. And again, I haven't read the book, so I can only go off the thumbnail or the information here. But this apparently is a very popular book in the transgender community. But again, check it out at your leisure and do whatever you want to with it. My thing is just what's been done to Jeff, and I'd say more importantly to James is horrible. Again, that's my personal opinion. I'll kind of try to keep that out and just kind of keep going through the facts of it. So this is one of the things. This is actually James when he was about 3 or so, and it was a video that his dad recorded, and I'll play just a few seconds of. Well, that's all we have is a few seconds of this part. I just want to capture this, but I wanted people to see and hear what was going on. So let me play that real quick.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
Mommy told him he was a girl. And when you look through the court documents, and again, there's a lot of court documents, there seems to be that, and then there was actually some more information that comes up here in a bit that I captured that kind of also talks to that. But
Who told you you were a girl?
let me flip to the next screen here. Now, continuing on in this history, on October 22nd, 2019, Texas, Dallas, Texas, which, again, that's where I'm from, Texas, which surprises the hell out of me, but a Texas jury 11-1 awarded Dr. Gorgelis sole custody of the children at that time, which was absolutely, in my opinion, ridiculous regardless of what was going on. Now, fortunately, from my opinion, 2 days later, Judge Kim Cooks changes the order and grants both of them joint custody, and then having the medical decisions for this specific situation had to be by agreement through both parents. Now, again, just to, I guess, catch everybody up, obviously, Jeff Younger is vehemently opposed to the chemical castration of his son, especially before he's 18. Oh, hey, Diego Ignacio Gonzalez Sanchez, thank you for following, appreciate it. Again, love hearing that little ding, that little avocado, and a little shout out to my wife who is watching. You got to hear her earlier on when I thought I wasn't recording. When she says, "Do you love me?" I tell her I love her like an avocado. Just between you and I hate avocados, but it's just our funny little joke. It's what we do to keep the magic alive. Anyway, all right. 2 days later, Judge Cook, changed the order and gives them basically both rights. Oh, and to finish up the other thought that I had, Dr. Gorgelis, who's a pediatrician, by the way, who she used to be in the Irving area. She obviously wants James to be transitioned to a girl via chemical castration. At that time, at the age of like 3, 4, 5, whatever. Now, in the court documents, which are again freely available for anyone to look at, one of the things that the Judge Cooks called out and admonished each of the parents for different things, but for Dr. Gorgelis, she went on record, and again, this is her, admitting that she over-affirmed James's identity issues. So, from when you read the court documents, it really seemed like she was she's wanting to take him to all these clinics and do all this other crap. The kid's like 3, 4 years old, and she's wanting to just do all this, in my opinion, crazy stuff for a kid that's little. I mean, me, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a transformer. Obviously I'm trying to live through that now with all my toys and everything. But I did not want my parents to go ahead and turn me into Optimus Prime, although now in retrospect that would have been awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's nuts that's what happened. But now, as far as Jeff, and again, this is one, the judge got mad at him for raising donations and basically speaking out about it, because judges in family court, that one of the things they love doing is putting a gag order on you, illegal as it is. But what they'll do is they'll put a gag order on you and then tell you can't talk about it, so then they can do the stuff that they do in darkness, and it's all it's all the way they can do that. But they got mad at Jeff. Now, I mean, personally, me, and I've been involved with this for over a decade now. I wouldn't have listened to the gag order either, and would have spoken out, because I want the world to know, and I'm hoping by public opinion that these judges and all that are going to be held accountable, because they do everything in secret. They don't really allow you to go into the courts. They play all their little games there. So getting the word out. And as far as fundraising, most parents, I mean, the legal system is a $60 billion a year industry. Most people don't have that kind of money to get a divorce. I mean, again, Jeff has spent well over $1 million on his defense. and trying to work through this. I mean, and she's pulled different things where she claimed abuse, the silver bullet and all that stuff, which thankfully, then I think like 5 minutes of deliberation, the jury said not happening and kicked it out or whatever. But she got mad at Jeff for speaking out. I mean, something crazy like that, basically trampling his First Amendment rights. Kind of crazy stuff there. All right, so this is where it gets a little darker. This is probably Jeff's last bit of good news. But in January 29 of 2020, the Democratic, and I got to point it out there, I mean, it is what it is, Judge Mary Brown, I believe Jeff affectionately refers to her as Judge Mary, Typhoid Mary, I think it is. Boy, he called, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but calls her Mary Brown. Initially, she affirmed the original the joint custody decision, which essentially gave in Texas you have the first, third, and fifth weekends, and basically that. And I think it actually reduced it by a bit, whatever. And then a little while later, in August 3rd in 2021, she goes ahead and awards full custody of both the twins over to Dr. Jugorlis. And she cited in her reasoning that it was due to, oh, hey, Philip Rochette, thank you very much for following. Appreciate it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. But it was, she cited the reason that she gave full custody, which again is in violation of the family code here in Texas, to do that for the purpose of not being able to pay child support. Because and I'm being a little cheeky here in Texas, because they love to say that custody and child support are two very separate things. And of course we know that for the folks that try to get their kids and the other parent doesn't allow them to have access to it. But they say, hey, I pay my child support. Oh, they're separate. Well, in this case, she said, hey, you didn't pay your child support, so we're turning the kids over to Dr. Gregorlis. And what's interesting, and I haven't fact checked it, but I know Jeff well enough to where I can go ahead and take him at his word, is that he actually was paying it, and he offered additional information that even if it wasn't Jeff, I could go, yeah, I believe it. But the way it works is when you make your payments, or I'm sorry, when they're extracted from you through the child support office here in Texas, it then goes into a clearinghouse and then eventually gets sent out to the other parent. Well, that process can take a period of time to do. I mean, actually, I think when my ex-wife took me back to court, she tried to pull the same thing. It's like, no, I've paid everything, but they take sometimes a month or two or longer to disperse payments. And I have my ideas, my why I think that, but whole different podcast discussion and red or tinfoil hat moment there. But if there was any amount of truth to it, it was probably because the child support office had been holding on essentially to the checks and then sending it out, which created the illusion of him being behind. He paid it on time. They screwed up. And actually something like that did happen to me. Anyway, I put in parentheses because I didn't want to forget this, because I was actually finishing this whole thing up about 1, 2 in the morning last night, which my wife was very happy about. But basically, it was because he was refusing to honor that gag order. She told him specifically, you're under a gag order, you can't talk about it, you can't do whatever. And he goes, bite me. I am going to sing it from the rooftops, because, of course, if I get the larger public involved, then everyone's going to see what the courts have been doing to me, and go ahead and rectify the danger, and the judge will do the right thing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think anyone that's on here that has dealt with the family court system will say, yeah, it doesn't happen because we just don't get the kind of coverage that we want. But Jeff was a little bit different, and this actually adds to the sad part of kind of how all this went. But Jeff is actually, I mean, if he wasn't involved with this, he would be one hell of. The book of all the places he's been and people he's met and talk shows he's been on is something. I collected just a few of them, and he's been on obviously Fox News a number of times. Matt Walsh, Chris Poole. He's been on Christian Today, Epic. I mean, he's been Dad Talk Today actually, and again, he'll be on Dad Talk Today live on Instagram later tonight. And be talking and answering questions about that. But Jeff has been on pretty much every news thing there, and that gets into one of my complaints is that all these news cases, they're not interested in really helping out. They're more interested in what's going to get clicks and get people whatever. I mean, if you squint your eyes, you can probably say the same thing about me. I see the optics of that. Mine is, I want to get the word out. There are people that don't know what's going on. And I mean, I have conversations with people every day and they had never heard of this and they're in Texas or they're going through the same thing. They just never heard of it. So, I'm trying to get the word out as much as I can and hopefully people will share it and do whatever. So the word gets out and hopefully something changes. And also, if you have comments or questions or issues, please, put those into the comment section. I'll take a look at them. It'd be remiss, and this is available actually on the Pissed Off Parent app and website. I have the screenshots of this because I've been following this for quite a while, actually knowing Jeff. But through all that media exposure, he got the attention and got a couple tweets or IMs or whatever the heck the kids are calling it today. But got the attention of our Governor Greg Abbott and Senator Ted Cruz. And I went ahead and put up here what they said they were going to do. And let's just say nothing has happened. This is the stuff that really pisses me off about our legislative staff is they did that because, I mean, it got 21,000 retweets, 75,000 likes. This one, it didn't show that 160 hearts, welcomes, whatever, and some comments and whatever else. I mean, they're very obviously the governor's, pretty influential figure if you like him or not. Also, I'm a hardcore conservative. I vote Republican 99% of the time, but I can still criticize these guys. If they do something stupid or wrong, I'm pointing them out just like I would do the Democrats, which I have a lot more opportunities, but, here we are. But this is one. These are complete L's on the part of Abbott and Cruz because they could have done something. Now, going around to our current. Oh, I met him. I've talked to him. I've met him. Oh boy, our current Attorney General. Oh, mind blank. I'm getting old. But he's actually issued a letter and he's done a few things within his realm of control to talk about this as Attorney General to try to stop what's eventually going to happen. But as far as our current legislators, not a whole lot there. And Eric actually has some unreleased footage of some things that happened down at the Capitol here in Texas when we try to put forth anti or pro-family bills, not anti-transgender bills. But people losing their minds and doing different things there. But I just again our legislative staff, they're interested in getting elected. They really don't want to do anything about it, and that's one of the reasons why I put this out because I want people to get involved and write their senators, write their governors, write people, and if enough people say, "Hey, look, we're not going to elect you if you don't do the right thing," they want to keep their job. Also, no one wants to talk about this. I'm going off on a tangent. And again, I would be considered a Republican. I identify as a conservative. But actually, all the big pharma and all the medical things, and I can go down all these rabbit holes all day long. But I want to keep this short and sweet because I want to be cognizant or conscious of the timing because again, Eric and Jeff will be on later tonight at 7 Central on Instagram. So I don't want this thing to ramble on for 4 hours. But all the Republicans are actually the ones that have done a lot of this stuff because they're in the backseat or they're in the pockets of Big Pharma, and Big Pharma makes I think it's like $40,000 a year, and it's a lifetime of money when you castrate a child. I mean, they have to keep coming back for all the fun stuff, and who's going to provide it? Well, they are, and they are on this stuff for the rest of their lives. And who profits from that? Big Pharma. Well, who's in the back? Who's in whose pocket here? It's the Republicans. And if you don't believe me, you can go actually on my app. There's a piece there you can type in your legislator or. God, there's so many things I could talk about here, and I'm going to stop myself. But you can type in your senator and find out who's giving them money, and that'll let you know who's paying for them. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But anyway, I will. Continue on here. This is a text that I was able to get a hold of, and it basically lines it all out pretty nicely. It talks about, and this is how they fool the peoples. They'll go in there and they'll say, they'll author a bill. This is kind of what happened, but they'll author a bill that's pro whatever. In this case, it is. I do it for equal shared parenting and every other thing. But they'll go in there, get the little buddies going on, and then it gets delayed in committee, and then it fails, and then they come back and they say, oh, well, I did my best. Vote for me again, give me money so I can try harder, and they just laugh all the way to the bank. That's the formula. I've been following this stuff for a couple decades now, and that's exactly how it works. I can put you in touch with a million people that'll tell you otherwise. To further kind of go after the Republicans on this, Jeff got pissed off and said, you know what? I can't change this by talking to legislators. I can't change this by talking to people. I'm going to become a rep and start passing bills, because he got shut out. I mean, he would go in there and knock on their doors. They would kick him out of their offices. And anyway, it blows my mind. So he said, "Screw it. I am going to, I'm going to go and become a House rep, and then I'm going to pass my own bills. I'm going to write and pass my own bills and get this changed for my sons." So he went ahead and with the area he's in up in Flower Mound, he went against Ben Bumgamer. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And unfortunately only received 38% of the vote. Now, I have a screenshot. Hopefully it's legible. If not, you can go and type in Ben Bumgamer and look up who donated money to his finance campaign. You have names. Well, you have his wife in there. $50,000 from his wife. Interesting. Dade Phelan. You got the Texans for lawsuit reform. Greg Abbott. You got James Frank. Yeah, a bunch of different names in here that gave him basically was it over $500,000. And this is what we know. This is what, like, the laws are so stuck that they have to report this stuff. He got over $500,000 to defeat another Republican that was coming in. So the Republican Party paid somebody, gave money to someone else, Ben in this case, to take him out. I don't know Ben. I don't know what his motives were. I don't know anything about that. But that's the only way you can really look at this, is that they did not want Jeff in, so they did that. And I'll be honest, other races I followed, the exact same thing happened. So you have that. All right, so kind of not wrapping it up, but kind of getting to where all this kind of starts coming together for everyone. You've got the thing that Jeff is upset about is that when he's in Texas, they're saying, oh, hey, you can't, chemically castrate the child, and that's what they're talking about doing. It's documented, it's out there, and all that. And so what he was worried about is, and he was trying to get the Texas folks to do the right thing, is to prevent her from leaving the state, from doing anything. Now she was a doctor here in Texas, and then he caught wind that she'd actually closed her practice. Shocker. So you got that, and he's freaking out, and he goes, we've got to find a way, because if he goes to if his son and his ex-wife go to California, they have this it's a sanctuary bill for transgender, to where if they go there as a safe haven, and Texas or any other state can't require them to come back, or their laws no longer apply, and they can't force the child to come back, can't do whatever. Well, here we have SB 107, which was actually signed into law recently. Which does it, and I won't read over the whole thing. You can read it yourself or look it up if you don't believe me or whatever. But it basically does just that. It's written a little funny, but when James goes to goes to California, then what'll happen is Texas can't get them back, and there's nothing that prevents California from saying, hey, we're going to give them back. So that, unfortunately, is kind of becoming real. All right, so he tries to go through the courts. In 2022, Jeff petitions the court to stop this from happening. And then on December 30th, 2022, Justice Blacklock, and I think he has a funny little name for him as well, and Justice Young, they deny his petition for the writ of mandamus. And they say, basically it's done. Now, I'll wait till my animation here finishes up. So, also earlier that year, the district court did authorize. This is what's funny. It's not. She didn't leave in the middle of the night. She went to court and said, "Hey, can I move?" And they said, "Oh, sure. Yeah, knock yourself out. Go ahead and move to California. That's the place you want to be." and all that. And now what the court said was this is what kills me. And everyone that's in the equal shared parenting world has been through family court is chuckling whatever. But it says here neither parent may treat a child with hormonal suppression therapy, puberty blockers, and/or transgender reassignment surgery, if any, without the consent of the parent or the court order. And that was what Blacklock and Young said. Is like, hey, it says it right here in the order, and a parent would never, not do that. That's insane. And of course, everyone here knows that that's just complete BS. That it happens all the time, and nothing's ever done. They'll go, well, it's too late. His wiener's been chopped off, so yeah, no harm, no foul. All right, now, so we've got there. Jeff went earlier this year. He'd been in California and been fighting. He's actually been representing himself. Actually, in his more the recent one, 2022, the judges actually admonished him for representing himself. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's smart as a whip. He knows the law backwards and forwards, and it's all a game anyway. Paying more money. I mean, he's already paid over $1 million on this stuff, and they want him to get another attorney that's going to do nothing. I mean, is it? I mean, they're making decisions based on. Oh, hey, Conrad Petrie, thank you for following, appreciate it. But anyway, they're sitting there yelling about getting another attorney. Well, he earlier this year and in the past few weeks, he has actually went to California to fight to get his son back and get custody and move that and keep him from being castrated, because it's pretty well apparent at this point this is what the plan is. So he goes to court, and what was funny is earlier this year when he went to court, they normally have a process to where people can actually, they have open courts where you can actually go in there and watch through YouTube or whatever, or their own little application. I actually signed up for it. I took time off of work and signed up to do it. And then about a minute or two before it all went down, they basically cut the whole feed and said, we're not going to do it. You have to be here in person. Now, more interesting is that Robert Garza, another guy. Oh, hey, Wilson Tiono, thank you for following, appreciate it. But he had actually flew out there on his own dime. A couple guys went out there and tried to help him, and they gave them all kinds of trouble. It was I don't know. It was a very interesting situation, but they did some delays and all that stuff, and they then just had the final hearing this last week. And Jeff did, from what I understand. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not allowed to watch this. And that's another thing too, is whether you're on his side or not, if you're in court or if you're actually able to watch the proceedings, there's no cover up. If Jeff walked up and said, yeah, I beat my kid every 5 minutes or whatever, and he has to admit that under oath, but he comes out on a show and says, oh, I was perfect and whatever else, you don't, and they vote against him, you're like, well, what happened? Well, had you got to watch the proceedings, you could have confidence in our judiciary and say, hey, look, you had to admit under oath that XYZ happened. There you go. But they of course don't have that. But anyway, he did his case. He was hopeful. I was hoping it would have worked out. But what we have are his kind of last two posts. And while I kind of tie that into some recent Facebook comments, Eric went live yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm saying, making it sound like it's weird. He and I actually went live yesterday on the Dad Talk Today network and talked about the case. Well, I linked it over on my Pissed Off Parent site, and some people commented that it's not true about him losing his rights to his kids. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But what he put in his Twitter feeds, and I'll give you the links to that so you can see it, is I lost all parental rights to my sons. Goodbye, boys. Perhaps we'll meet when you're adults. California Judge Juhas gave my ex-wife authority to castrate my son James. All contact with my boys must be supervised. I won't do that. I send letters and gifts to my sons. My ex is not required to give them to the boys. I cannot post pictures of my sons. Let my story be a cautionary tale, one for young men. Fathers have no rights to their children. Do not enter the family law system. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, the family law system is horrible for men. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But effectively he's lost his rights. And when I talk about the Facebook post where people were arguing a little bit, they were saying that's not true. It is and it's not. So what they've done to him is they've said what's going to happen is you're going to have supervised visits. So you have to pay $100, $200, whatever, for like 30 minutes or an hour to come into a room where someone else, and you're paying them as well, sits there and supervises you. And what he's been told is that he has to acknowledge his son as Luna and call James Luna. He has to not say anything else about what's going on or whatever. He has to be happy that he's in a dress and acting like a girl and all that. And again, his religious convictions and his convictions as a parent says, I can't do that. And, actually my wife and I were talking about that back and forth, and it's hard, to armchair quarterback that one. But I get where he's at. Being do that. So, he's, saying he's lost his rights to his son, and they knew that. I mean, they're wanting to break, in this case, break the dad down as far as they can. Now, he also followed up because people had made comments. Why don't you just do it? Why don't you just suck it up? The typical the guy responses, and what he wrote in there on his other text was, a number of well-meaning people and some ill-meaning people too have urged me to attend supervised visits. This is a bad idea. Bad for the kids. Supervised visitation reinforces in the child's mind that the father is dangerous, that something is wrong with them. It's also bad for the father. The supervisor can record anything he wants. Whatever he writes down, the court will take as fact. Supervision provides infinitely malleable material for the courts to make damaging findings. It's also very expensive. I have to do visits in Los Angeles County, California. The flight and supervision run to over $2,000 a visit. $2,000 a visit. Wow. No parent should do supervised visitation. I get his meaning on that. 99% of the parents should not have to do supervised visitation. There's the ones that are got issues. It's bad for the children, bad for the father, and allows courts to invent false findings to further endeavor the father. And this is, I wholeheartedly, because we have so many examples today of court reporters, these supervisors, these other people that are involved in the court system falsifying records, doing whatever, and they come out and they say, oh, it's just a perfect, they're all like, they think they're honorable, and they're not. They're fallible human beings. A lot of them are pieces of trash, and they do whatever the hell they want to. And he's 100% right, because if he knuckles under, they'll of course on that, and then they'll invent that he said this or didn't say this, and who are they going to believe? They're going to say, well, we have a court document, and it wouldn't even matter if the court document said one thing or another. I was reading through Jeff's pleadings before, and he was bringing expert testimony. He really set this thing up. If anyone was going to win this case, it would have been him. But he set it up really good. He had expert testimony. And they basically just brushed it away. And that's what's funny is, we've had at the Texas court, at the Texas legislature, where we had experts in the field stand up and say equal shared parenting makes sense. They'll be like, we need to hear from a real one. These are PhD doctors that their entire livelihood. This is, and if it's not what they want to hear, they'll push it off to the side. And we all know, people that do that kind of stuff. Wonder who that is. But again, the unfortunate thing here is that this is what's happened to this dad, and one of the things I want to do is get it out to the world that this is what's happened to him, and hopefully find some way to change it before his son is chemically castrated, because that is what's on the table. I wanted to go ahead and move into kind of the questions and comments. I don't see any questions or anyone commenting in here, so I don't know if this is not working, broke, whatever, or if I'm even really live. I have no idea. It looks like I am. I'm not sure, but here we are. The questions I really had is, should parents have equal say in major decisions about their child's life even after a divorce? What we're seeing with Jeff is he's not able to. That they basically I would say the golden uterus. It wasn't even her uterus. I can't even say that. In this one, the father did not matter, and I can go through. On the Pissed Off Parent YouTube channel, I can go through a number of them where we had one here in Texas, another one in Texas, where the guy and the girl, split up. They had close to equal shared parenting. The mom died in a car accident, and they were going to give equal custody to the 6-month boyfriend. He had to go to the Supreme Court to get things changed on temporary orders. I mean, this is how horrible our family courts are, and it's just getting worse because it's more money, more money, more money. But getting back to this, parents having equal say in major decisions. Personally, I feel they should. If you go into the family court system, you're not. The father is going to be removed. In Texas, 90 to 95% of the time. And that's the cold hard numbers. Next question I have is: at what age is a child capable of making life-altering decisions about their identity? I argue that a kid can't smoke till they're 21. They can go off to or they can get pulled into war when they're 18. They can't drive till they're 16. They can't get a loan until they're at least 18. They can't get. There's so many things they can't do until they're of the age of the majority. They're no longer a minor. But we're going to let them make decisions on what gender they are. Should they have castration? I'm sorry, I got a text telling me that I need some WD-40 on my chair, so apparently my mic's picking that up pretty good. I'm going to try not to move too much and get some WD-40 later. Thank you, Mrs. Ward, for no, she's always in the corner. But back to the what age is a child capable of making life-altering decisions about their identity. I mean, going back through that, it's crazy, and it's funny. I'll talk to people, especially on the left, that will sit there and fight and yell and scream and everything about that. Then I'll say, but and I'll cite those examples. They can't smoke, they can't vape, they go off to war, they can't drive, they can't all these things that I think would be less of a life-altering decision, and they have no problem with it. And of course, then they shut up and call me all the names in the book, and they don't want to talk to me more because I'm a blah blah blah. I'm a mean old guy. And again, they're just not applying logic. But these are just and it's on either side of the aisle here. But these are just things to think about. Like apply it and then apply it equally. Use your brain to try to figure it out. Another question I had was, how do we as a society strike the balance between respecting individual rights and protecting children from irreversible decisions? Here's the cold hard facts. Was it 90 some odd % of all gender dysphoria? All that goes away when they hit puberty. And you're going to hear. Hopefully, people are thinking out loud about some of this crap. All these issues, and I say all, most of the gender dysphoria goes away when they hit puberty. Let's put a thumbnail in that or a thumbtack and move that word off to the side because it becomes very important later in the process here. So if that goes away when they hit puberty, and then I want to say I don't want to have to spoon feed people. It should be so obvious. Oh, this is why. Okay, this is why people. These people are wanting to have people take puberty blockers is because since they're gonna walk away from it and be out of it after they hit puberty, that's when they want to get them earlier on. We have proof also that when in data, facts, research, and all that, which they try to suppress, which is interesting, that if they go on this stuff, they will never be the same. They can't change their minds. They'd like to market it that if they decide they want to not be they don't want to. I'm trying to find the item here that because they just had them in a news article. A person that this actually happened to them. All right, I won't mess with it here, but if they change their mind later, they can't go back. They're ruined. Their puberty has been stunted. For the rest of their lives, and they have to deal with the circumstances. And what's funny is that if someone, and I say funny, tongue in cheek, but if they decide to detransition later, those same people that were open arms and respecting their choice and all that stuff, they want nothing to do with them. That just doesn't make sense. But the question here is striking that what makes sense, because I'm I can say, out loud that, well, I'm the parent. I should be allowed, if I want my kids to be, I mean, we have freedom of, religion and speech and all that, and that, extends to how we raise our children. We've had a number of documents from the government, which is interesting, but telling us that we have the rights to raise our children. I don't know if you've been outside lately, but all of our rights are pretty well getting taken away. I mean, I have 3 kids that have went through our school system, and I've had to go toe to toe with them on a number of issues where they were trying to tell me how things were going to work, and I had to turn into an asshole to get that done because I'm the father, I'm the parent, I'm the one that is responsible and taking care of their upbringing. I mean, I don't want someone coming in and telling me, oh, they shouldn't be raised this way, they should be raised this way. If I'm going to raise my kids to and I'm just throwing it out there, Dallas Cowboys. I know I'm get a lot of hate mail with that, which I don't. I could care less about the Dallas Cowboys. But if I'm raising, and they say no, you need to like the Kansas City Chiefs. It's my prerogative. They can make their decision when they turn 18. I don't want to have the government doing that. But if I am like, well, I'm gonna, I want my kids to be to only, to be 50 pounds and be starving. Is that abuse? I mean, there's that fine line. Where is that? And I would just ask people to, think out loud or think to themselves about that. Do they should they think about that stuff, or they need to think about those things and come up with answers, not just pop something off on social media and think that they're smart. Because I'll be honest, I see a lot of these people making memes and doing all sorts of stuff, and they haven't obviously put an ounce of thought behind it on their position. They need to actually think these things through. Let's bring back thinking, America. I mean, we used to be really good at it. Now we suck. Okay, keep going. Oh, hey, got another person. Asanka Rathnari. Sorry I butchered your last name. Thank you for following. Appreciate it. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And this one, this is kind of like a situation where I'm stating the statement as a question, and I need to be admonished for it for other personal funny reasons. But are family courts biased against fathers? And if you answer anything other than, of course they are, you're an idiot. 90, and again, this gets into the argument, because there will be women on here, they'll be like, well, it happens to women too. Yeah, it does. I mean, so does breast cancer happens to men just like women, but it's the proportion. It's 90 some odd % of women get breast cancer, whereas only like 5 to 10% of men get breast cancer. Who gets all the, when you say breast cancer is a female issue, it is. It does impact, actually, I think it was a drummer of Kiss, got breast cancer as a male. I know he dressed like a woman. Maybe that was part of it. Who knows? But he got breast cancer, and no one cared. But anyway, that's one example. I and everyone in the equal shared parenting world knows that it impacts. I know a number of women personally that are going through it that have these issues, but it's one of those. This is a thing that impacts fathers more, 85 to 95% of the time. I use 95% because of Texas, but other states are similar, and you can go to the website or app and get that information. It's not even a discussion, but the courts are biased against fathers, and I, of course, laid out exactly why. It's all about money. Men generally make more money than women, so... And of course, all the grants. I mean, there's just so many pieces in there. And of course, men are going to, fight and do the things that they want, spend money in order to get their children. And they're the ones that are usually creating those things. All right, so that takes care of that. And then I think I have one or two more. This is a big one. What would you do if you were in Jeff's shoes? I've had many a conversation, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little thing out there. Like these are my personal thoughts. I don't plan on acting them because actually my kids are now outside outside that age. So you know what? It's a non-starter question for me. How about there we go. Perfect for me. Here's what I do. I'd take my kid. I would pick him up in the middle of the night, take his ass back to Texas, and barricade the house and fortify it, and that'd be the end of it. And bring on whoever you want to. It's not going to happen. I mean, what they've done to him with a smile on their face is take his children from him to where he can't get them back. Personally, I'm shocked that he hasn't. Any other man that I know would have crumbled a long time ago. I mean, this guy has done everything for his son or his sons to try to be in their lives and prevent this castration situation from happening. And he has been knocked down by all the people that said they were in his corner and all that. He's had so much hate up in Denton, which is nearby me. He had the whole thing where he got hit, screamed at, spit on, you name it, by all the nut jobs there. And he just kept on coming. He kept doing the right thing, which is what men are known for, doing the right thing. And what's it got him? Not it's got him just knocked down. He's done so much. I would have abandoned the legal process a while back, to be honest. That's just kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. I'd like to hear put in the comments later what y'all think of that. Now getting to the big picture. This case, it's not just about Jeff. It's about every parent who's ever felt powerless. It's about assisting and often pits parents against each other. You can see it on my website and all that, videos and information and all that. But think about this, men and ladies, because again, 70 to 80% of y'all are the ones that file for divorce and invite the family court system into your personal lives, which, by the way, the attorneys physically argue that fact that when you invite the family court into your lives, you are turning... Oh, hey, Andrew Juan Camino, thank you for following. But when you do that, you're telling them to take over the raising of your children. That's actually was stated in court at the Supreme Court level. The Texas State Supreme, I'm sure it's been stated at the federal one, but the state courthouse level for the case I was talking about earlier with the guy that his ex-wife or girlfriend died, that went to the Supreme Court. That was part of their argument, is that when you bring your kids to family court, which they want you to do, that you're effectively turning over everything, your rights and everything, over to the courts, and we see that every single day. But just food for thought for the ladies out there, since y'all do it 70 to 80% of the time. But again, they're pitting the parents against each other, and instead of finding the best solution for the child, it's about how we define parental rights in a world that's rapidly changing. There's no getting around it. We are losing our rights as parents. We talk about that. We want to be good parents. We want to do this, but we go to the baby mama government, and they'll take money. They'll take your kids, and they do it every single day. Something's got to change. And then here's kind of my call to action. It's not about Jeff Younger's fight. It's a fight for what we believe about parenting, the role of the courts, and the rights of our kids. And as I said at the beginning of the show, if you agree with Jeff or not, whichever way you lean, that decision is going to have implications for everybody, no matter what it is. They have effectively removed his rights and said, whatever, that's today. Tomorrow, if you're not on Jeff's side, and and your kids, you decide that you want to make them blue-haired, and the government says, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. It's going to happen to you too. You think it's not? I wouldn't have said 10 years ago. I mean, there's people that are seeing this today that just can't. It blows their mind that this would happen in Texas, and it's happening. It's happening more and more every single day, and we're just sitting around, flipping through and looking at memes. We need to get involved. We need to get involved and start telling people about this stuff. I've included up here, a few things I'd like. If you want to reach out, and I would actually recommend you reach out to Jeff Younger at the Jeff Younger Show on X, Twitter for the older crowd, to reach out, give him some thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, email, or contact him, and at least let him know he's got your support. If we get enough people involved, I keep saying this over and over. Oh, Alexander Baugh is now following. Thank you, Alexander. But if we can get people involved, and there's not a whole lot else to say. We need to get more and more people involved in these issues, and hopefully, blow the lid off this, and then they won't be doing what they're doing. They are the guys in Texas. I blame them a lot because they allowed this to happen. They're the ones that really need to be held accountable for this. California is a lost cause. I mean, I don't care that half of the whatever voted red this last time and all that. They're pretty well a lost cause. I mean, you see the laws that they pass. It was the judges, governor. I mean, it's everybody involved here that allowed Jeff's kids. They failed Jeff and James and Jude, and they need to be held accountable. Getting this message out, showing Jeff getting enough followers to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on, and being informed. Maybe that'll make them go, hey, we want to keep our jobs. We better. I mean, we're getting millions and billions of dollars from big pharma. Maybe we need, if we want to get that money, we need to be elected. So we need to actually do this and find some better way of doing it. But I would just encourage everyone to reach out to Jeff Younger on the @JeffYounger Show on X, which is I think where he's mainly at. And actually, if you go there, last night he did like a 2.5-hour podcast with some folks that's available on X. I listened to part of it. Again, it was late when I was putting this together. And he does give a rundown. The other thing I got, Dad Talk Today's emblem up there. Dad Talk Today on Instagram only. He's going to do a replay, I think, on Facebook and everything else. And here in about less than an hour, he'll be going live on Instagram. But he's actually going to have Jeff Younger on with him. And they're going to go ahead and talk about the case and walk through that. And I would just encourage everyone to jump on there, show the love, show the support, like, share, subscribe to the groups and all that, and just get the word out. And because if we can get enough people, we can hopefully make a change. And it's not just getting the numbers, it's changing people's minds so that when they sit down and think about like some of those questions I asked, they'll go, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Because there are people that are like, oh, we should be allowed to do whatever, or what they did to Jeff is, or they did to, I'm sorry, James is perfectly right. It should be it should be okay. Make them think about that, and they go, ooh, I'm gonna change my mind. And there were a lot of people this last election that changed their minds. I mean, you had a lot of Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and a number of big guys that were normally liberal. They've had time to think about it, and they were like, you know what, this isn't a smart deal. Let's go over. Let's come over to. I mean, they never thought they'd be voting for to the DJT guy, and here we are. But it was over time and getting them to actually think about stuff that changed their minds. And liking, sharing, subscribing, that gets this out into the. I mean, we all know the algorithm gets it out there. Oh, hey, another one. And Aldo Rahman Ibrahim. Thank you for following. Appreciate it. But getting this message out. That's going to be important. Of course, like, share, subscribe my page so I can, keep making more content, getting more information out. I attack mine a little differently than other equal shared parenting groups do. I like to bring facts, figures, a little bit of fun to it, so you'll get a little education there that you can share when you're having a discussion with someone. So, and I hope everyone likes that format and everything else. But I think that wraps it up for me. Again, there's going to be. Be sure to check out Eric and Jeff on Dad Talk Today tonight on Instagram, only at 7 p.m. Central. And I think that's it. But again, thanks everybody for watching. Sorry for all the issues earlier on. Again, Rumble kind of did its thing. I'm still learning the software, but that's how it goes. But anyway, till next time, love y'all. Have a good one, everybody.